And now,
Right.
COVID threw everything off. It doesn't seem like it's been as long as it has, but it has been that long. And you've got another album out finally. Crash of the Crown is out. And Styx is back on the road, firing on all cylinders. Life is back to the way it should be with new Styx shows. Man, how does it... It's got to feel good because you guys are one of the heaviest touring bands in all of music, not just rock. You guys are right back where you belong.
You know, it was so much of the life force of the band comes from the live performance. You know, we usually play about 100 shows a year. So you see, you know, you get accustomed to seeing thousands of people on their feet and with their arms in the air, you know, and big smiles on their faces at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for about a third of the year, we have that experience, and to suddenly have that ripped out from under us. I mean, it's not as vitally important as a lot of other people's existence, but it's funny. The way you're putting it, though, Reggie, because now that we've started back again, it's it's not just noticeable, it's palpable, just how much people have missed having that music experience in their lives and how much they derive so much pleasure from it. I remember one of the last shows I was able to go to before the pandemic was Elton John, you know, the farewell concert. And it's amazing because I'm on stage, like as I said, about 100 times, even more with my solo shows per year. So it's only one or two shows I get to actually see in a year, you know, that are not a Styx show or a Gowan show. And, oh my God, right from the very first chord, I was like, I just love this environment. I love everything about this form of entertainment better than anything else I've ever, a live rock show is the greatest form of entertainment I've ever encountered. And, just what I derived from it. And it's funny, during the pandemic, as you know, as during the lockdown portion of it anyway, I started to feel like, oh my God, I'm so happy that I went to that Elton John show. I'm still kind of coasting on the fumes of what a great experience that was.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. I can't wait for that to happen again.
Yeah.
And I can see that's very much in the eyes of the audience that we've played to all throughout this summer. It's just how vital this has been in their lives and how they're so grateful and happy and joyous to have it back.
Yeah, I mean, the shows that I've gone to, and I've gone to quite a few now with everything that I do, it's really cool because I've gone to festivals, but there's people smiling, dancing, crying in the crowd because they love it so much, you know, and you don't I don't think we realize how much we actually, in the digital social media age, still depended on that human interaction, that face-to-face and that in-person experience. Because watching it on TV or on YouTube, it's not quite the same. But I know you guys did some live streaming stuff. You did the Styx Fix live stream things. Yeah. Did you find that was kind of the same thing? Like it was kind of just enough to get you by and feed that need to perform, but it wasn't quite the same?
It can't be the same. You pointed it out early in the question there is that we have, you know, because technology has given us so many great conveniences and so many opportunities that wouldn't exist otherwise. We can at certain points forget that human interaction, and particularly the joy of you know, diving into a piece of music that everyone has connected to in one, you know, big collective arena is an experience that really can't be duplicated in any other fashion, you know. And that, you know, throughout the year, as you mentioned, we used those Styx Fix. We did 7 of them, you know, live concerts that we've had in the past. We did several streaming things. Yeah. They kind of kept us connected. And I'm really grateful for that. We're able to keep people connected and you know that the band is with them going through this experience and this ordeal. But there was nothing like every single night that we played this year. We've done about 60 shows now. The moment we walk on stage, it's you can see on people's faces there's an immediate joy that goes on a more profound level than I've ever witnessed in my life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I mean, the Styx fans are just so freaking diehard, man. It's a different animal. I wanted to ask you though, over the years I've interviewed you and Ricky, and there's always been talk of, we're working on music, but we don't know when we'll release it, stuff like that. Then you released The Mission 4 years ago, and the reaction and the reception was out of this world. And then now, 4 years later, Crash of the Crown, there's another new Styx record. So was it the positive reception and reaction to The Mission that made you want to do another one, or was it COVID just kind of like, let's get creative, or was there always the plan that once The Mission's out, we'll continue to write and release? Or what kind of changed the mindset and the gears to let's release music a little bit more regularly now?
Well, great question. There was a number of factors. I think the first factor, quite honestly, was around 2014, about 3 years before The Mission. The music industry began to kind of, in a lot of ways, right itself. They came to terms with where things were with the internet and streaming, and all these things began to fall into a more predictable or more manageable, I guess it would be, way of doing that. So Universal Records came back into, the Styx went back to Universal, who have the catalog, and suddenly things began to make a lot more sense with making new music, because there was now an outlet where people could, where the band could thrive and continue. I'm talking about the fact that it takes a lot of time to make records, and there's that business side to it that it needed to be addressed. Anyway. That was the initial thing that meant, we can make records again. Then there was the vinyl resurgence, where people were back interested in the album experience, because if particularly, it's funny enough, it was driven mostly, I think, by younger people who they suddenly became more and more enamored with classic rock. I kept seeing younger and younger audiences at big shows, of course, the audience. And this kind of sparked us to make The Mission. And the great thing was, because we didn't have to rely on a hit single or anything that shot up the charts in that way, we just had to have the consistent kind of sales, I guess you'd just say. More and more Mission albums went out there over the course of over a year from its release, that after a year we were able to play an entire night. Well, we did 3 nights of The Mission shows where we played that album in its entirety alongside, and we did that in Las Vegas, we did it in Boston, and then we were about to do one in New York, right on March the 12th of 2020.
Oh no!
And that's the show that we all got called at the airport by our tour manager, George, and he just said, you still go home, it's not happening. That was such a disappointment. But cool thing was, we'd already written all of Crash of the Crown. All the songs were done, and we had them all mapped out. And, Universal said, we did well enough with The Mission. We want a new album as soon as you guys got something ready. So we took advantage of the COVID year to actually finish that album. Okay. And then the plan was, let's release it right when we go back on the road again. The first day that we're playing a live concert, we'll put The Mission out. Crash of the Crown out, which we did, and it went right. Within 10 days, it got to number 1 on Billboard's rock album chart. Yeah, if that's ever happened for the band. So it's all kind of. We're in a lovely place right now because of that. Despite the horrors of this pandemic, etc., we're in a really strong creative groove at the moment, and the audiences seem to be really embracing it.
Well, and going back to what you talked about earlier with like the younger generation being enamored by vinyl and all that stuff, like I think people are just starting to realize like the way things were before is just good. Like there's a huge nostalgia movement going on. But like people like the stuff from back then before they were born or when they were kids, like they just love it. And, it's really starting to show where like stuff from the 70s, 80s, and 90s is starting to come back right now because that's what people remember and love the most. And it's just better than a lot of the stuff right now, too. That's just how it is. It's helping.
I don't know quite how to equate it. All I would say is that, I take a broader view to say that, look, rock music is the great musical statement of the last half of the 20th century. The first half of the 20th century was dominated by jazz,
Sure.
because that was the new thing. And it had all kinds of permutations with big band music and swing music and all this type of thing. But the moment music went electric and rock music stepped in, it became the grand musical statement of half a century. And it spilled over into the new millennium to the point where a live rock show, as we discussed, is the greatest form of entertainment.
It is.
But in tandem with that is the album experience. An album is about 40 minutes long, roughly, give or take a minute or two. It's an experience where the only thing you really have to do, you're mandated to do, is get up at about the 20-minute mark and flip the record over. But there is something about the tactile experience of staring into an album cover or looking at the artwork and listening to a record. And I think younger people discovered this because I began to, or recovered it. I shouldn't say discovered it, but they recovered it because, and it resurrected because I look at a Styx audience now, and half the audience are usually about 40 and under. So when I look at the age of 40, I go, well, they weren't even born when the biggest classic rock records, the biggest Styx records,
those were in the 70s,
were released, right?
Yeah.
And yet they feel this music is concurrent with their lives. They see themselves in the lyrics. They feel the emotional ride that it provides, and the emotional arc that these songs go through because of their progressive nature, by and large. And they're as connected to it as I am. They're as connected to it as I am, and I grew up with it. So
right.
It's a wonderful thing to witness, believe me.
And do you think, as far as like with the digital stuff, a lot of the reason things are kind of changing and shifting now is a lot of record labels, I feel like, have given up on trying to fight it and like work around it and just kind of embrace it. So, okay, well, how can we make this work in spite of things going in this direction? And let's just make this work. Let's make it happen. Do you think that's part of what's going on right now too? Because things are.
I do.
A lot of the pirating sites are down; those are gone now, and it's getting easier and more acceptable to buy music again. People want to do it. It's getting harder to steal it again, which is nice.
I'm fine with that.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I do often in our shows. I encourage people to, if they can't afford it, they should still get themselves a nice long coat, go into a record store, and learn how to, very stealthily put that under the coat and get out the store. But it's almost impossible now, Reg, because
it is.
It is because the surveillance cameras are so good, and people just whip up their eyes.
They're so little too.
They catch you every time.
Yeah. They're so little. It's crazy.
It is. But I agree with you. People have this great desire to keep music in their lives, and those, as I've witnessed over the course of my lifetime, those who have music, alive and well and referring to it on a daily basis, they tend to, their lives are just enriched. That's all there is to it. They just live better lives. So, I don't want to overstate it, but it's been what I've witnessed in my time on Earth. Is that music is the greatest gift we have, and rock music is just a way where you can turn to it in all kinds of parts of your life, and it just never seems to let you down. So that's my experience.
And if it's good quality, people will buy it. And going back to Crash of the Crown, this record has so much just throwback Styx sound. Like, this sounds like something you would have gotten on with like the Grand Illusion or Pieces. Like, it has that old school Styx vibe and sound musically, even vocally, with those harmonized vocals from all of you guys. This sounds like a Styx record. This doesn't sound like you guys are trying to go in a completely different, out of left field musical direction. Like, what works, how Styx sounds, and that's what you did with this record. It sounds like Styx. That's why people love it so much.
I think you're right. I think that, we made an album when I was in the band for my fifth year into the band. We made an album called Cyclorama, which I think was a really good record for the time, because in that period, it was 2003, we were grappling with, well, how do we bring Styx into this new millennium. What is it that we do to the sound, and what do we do?
And a lot of bands have that issue. Yeah.
And so that was very much at the forefront. But starting with The Mission, and definitely with this album as well, we really look at the classic rock era through that telescope to the past, and look at all the ingredients. It's almost like a great recipe for that you can refer to and say, well, it's two electric guitars, a set of drums, a bass, and it's usually in the keyboard world it's a grand piano, a B3 organ, and an Oberheim or harp synthesizer. Those are the basic ingredients. And if we step away from those, there has to be one hell of a good reason to do so, and still have it sound like Styx and like something that came from the classic rock era. So it's a bit of it's a mixture, because you're trying to write lyrics that will resonate with people today and feel as if they can see themselves in the current condition of the world, and have that. At the same time, you're trying to give them the sonic experience that if they happen to put on Grand Illusion and then put on Crash of the Crown, they're not going to feel this gigantic chasm between the sound and the essence of what the music is at its core. And so it's very melodically driven music, very vocally driven music, and those are the elements that have to be there in order to make it a Styx song and feel that it belongs from that classic rock tradition.
Is that part of why you wanted to work with Will again on this record? Because he kind of gets what you guys are wanting to do and what you guys are trying to capture. I mean, it worked good on The Mission, so obviously why wouldn't it work good with Crash?
Reggie?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me? Are you there? Hello? Can you hear me? Lawrence? Hello? Lawrence?
Reggie, there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can now, yeah.
Oh, that's so weird.
Did we cut out there?
We did.
Lost you for
Yeah.
20 seconds.
Yeah, that's weird. Can you hear me now, though?
Perfectly. Could you hear me all the way through that?
I heard you all the way through it, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're in Texas right now. We're in Amarillo, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Where's 317 again? Where are you?
Yeah, I'm in Indiana.
Yeah, okay. So that can happen sometimes. You get these drop. It's not even a drop, because I look at my phone and I can see, no, the numbers are still moving forward, but
right. It's not like the old days where you had that tone when it hung up. You're like, it's silent. Is he still there? You know. But I was going to ask, is that part of why you wanted to work with Will on this record as the producer again? He gets what you guys are trying to do, I feel like. It works well on The Mission, and why wouldn't it work good on Crash?
Oh, entirely. We really wanted, look, I knew when we were good, Tommy had worked with Will on his solo stuff back in 2008, 2009, and they actually did a Shaw Blades tour together, and so we knew of Will, and his band had done a couple of shows with us, so we knew of him, and I guess I'd known him for a couple of years before Tommy came to me one day on the bus and said, I'm thinking of having, writing some stuff with Will. I think it sounds really cool, and I think we should get him to produce. And I was fully in favor of that, because I thought, in order for us to make a record, we're going to need a producer that's outside the band to make kind of decisions, which he was for The Mission. And he was for doing Crash of the Crown. But when we finished Crash of the Crown, we realized, it'd be good to have him on stage with us, and that's why he's joined the band now.
Oh, nice. Okay, I saw that, but I didn't want to ask. I wasn't sure how, how the internet can be. You never know.
Yeah.
So.
No, I know. So he's become a member of the band, and I've warned him, in no uncertain terms, I don't want him to lose his objectivity just because he's in the band. I want to retain that once removed perspective that really helps to make a record, quite honestly.
Right.
Any band can get so lost in their own vision of what it should be with any individual member that really it takes someone that can stand back and look at the overall picture to help make a great record. Anyway, that's
awesome.
what I believe.
Well, speaking of live, man, one thing that I thought was really interesting was when the Collective Soul tour got announced, because that's not a package tour for Styx that I would expect to see. Two completely different eras. But how did it go? I've heard really good things about the shows.
Really great. I wish we'd done more. I think we did about 10.
It was a small run, yeah.
About 10 of the shows were with them, and then we started working again with our Speedwagon and the Cheap Trick. Some other bands have done shows with this year.
Right.
But, Collective Soul was such a strong band in the 90s, and they, I liked that. I liked that. It's like, wow, we're covering 3 full decades here of very, very relatable music. I knew every song they played.
Nice.
Soul.
Nice.
Every one. So it was cool because you're getting all of that, and then we both had kind of, Collective Soul I don't think had anything new, but we were, promoting Crash in the Crown and have been all year alongside that stuff. So they were great touring mates. I hope we do more with them in the future. I'm sure we will.
Oh, that's awesome. And obviously REO, you guys have toured monstrous amounts of dates with. My first Styx show was you were with REO Speedwagon, I think Little River Band, so in 2001. So you guys are still familiar with them, man. That's got to be a blast to be out with them again. All that stuff.
Yeah, but they've become such good friends with us, and we really enjoy each other's company, quite frankly, as much backstage as we do with each other's shows. And they're always, whenever we're teamed up together, the ticket sales are crazy. They just sell. The audiences are so into it. It's an amazing package, for quite honestly, and we'll definitely, obviously we'll do more with REO.
Oh yeah,
in the coming year.